Good morning, all of you. Last few lectures we have studied the culture of Indian major carps. Then in this lecture we have studied that is the pond management, pond management for Indian major carp culture. For Indian major carp culture, an ideal fish farm should be contain at least 4 different types of ponds for specific purpose. Which are these 4 different types of ponds? We have well known. The first pond is the hatching pond. Hatching ponds or pits. It is to be important. What is the use of hatching pits? The eggs of fishes, that is eggs of carps, these are to be kept into these hatching ponds, and from these eggs spawn these are to produce spawn, these are to be formed. For that purpose this hatching pond these are to be used, it is to be utilized up to the fry stage, spawn to fry stage. This hatching pond these are to be used, it is to be utilized. Then second type of pond, that is nursery pond. Nursery pond, again we have well known that nursery pond, this pond these are to be done, it is to be useful for nursing of the fry, nursing of the fry, that is those fry these are to be keep into this nursing pond or the nursery pond, these are to be keep up to 15 days up for the nursing, and when this spawn or when this fry these are to be keep into 15 days, then it is to be attain a fingerling stage, fingerling stage up to 15 to 20 days, and then these are to be removed from this nursery pond, and then these are to be keep into the next pond, that is the third is the which pond, third is the next pond, that is the rearing pond. Rearing pond, again after nursery pond fingerling these are to be transferred into the next pond, that pond is called as rearing pond, and in this rearing pond these fingerling these are to be keep up to 1 month to 2 months for rearing purpose, for rearing purpose. Then in this rearing pond this fingerling these are to be attain the larger size, attain the larger shape size, and it is to be attained up to a marketable advanced fingerling stage, then it is to be transferred into rearing pond into the stocking pond, stocking pond. For this purpose this stocking pond these are to be useful to stock the required quantity of major carp seed up to the 1 month or up to the, it is to be more than 1 year, 6 months or up to, depending upon the investment, those are to be invested by the fish farmers, those are to be invested by the fish cultures. Means for the pond management these 4 types of pond these are to be essential, these are to be most required, that is first is the hatching pond, second is the nursery pond, third is the rearing pond, and fourth is the stocking pond for the stocking purpose. Then these 4 ponds these are to be prepared, these are to be constructed, their shape, size, design and layout of these different types of pond these are to be depending upon the investments those fish cultures these are to be invested for the culture purpose, whether that cultivation, whether that culture, these are to be depending upon the 2 types of culture methods. One is the complete culture, and second one is the complete, or it is also called as the complete method or the full culture method, and second is the restricted, that is the some stages these are to be performed, some stages these are to be done among the fish farm, and thereafter the seed these are to be sold to the fish culturist, fish farmers. And complete fish culture, from hatching of the eggs up to the marketing of the fish up to 1 year or up to the 2 year, complete process which is to be done inside the fish farm management, that is called as the complete fish culture. It is called as the complete, means first from egg up to the marketable condition or marketing size of the fish, all culturable condition these are to be done, all culturable activities these are to be done inside the pond management. It is to be called as the complete fish culture. And second is the restricted fish culture, only up to the hatching, up to the stocking seed these are to be cultured, these are to be grow, and then these are to be sold to the fish farmers, or remaining only those advanced fingerling these are to be purchased from the these seed cultures, that seed these are to be stocked into the stocking pond, and then these are to be grow up to 1 year or 2 year, and then that growing fish these are to be sold in market. When market these are to be full of price, when market these are to be maximum tight condition, maximum marketable values these are to be more to these culture fishes, then these are to be marketed depending upon the market condition. It is to be called as the restricted culture, restricted farming. And complete fish culture or complete farming, that is from start to the end, start to the end, that farming these are to be done, that culturing these are to be done, it is to be called as the, that is the complete culture. These culture these are to be done, these are to be found among these, that is the pond management. That is, after particular type of fish pond these are to be select, these are to be choose, how many investment these are to be invested for this pond management. For that purpose, according to the particular type of use of fish pond, different types of pond these are to be constructed, different types of pond these are to be done, embankment, drain, their mechanical condition, their slip well condition, various building these are to be constructed for the fish pond management. Not only these pond these are to be constructed, these are to be created inside the pond, but instead of these pond, instead of these ponds, we have again constructed the some extraordinary or the extra constructions which is to be useful for the culture purpose. Which are these extra construction these are to be done? That is the various construction buildings such as research laboratory, then that is watchman houses, then office, then storeroom, then freeze room, all these extra construction these are to be constructed in the pond, because research laboratory, those research which is to be done in fish farming, those condition these are to be done, these are to be themselves research is to be done in that fish farm. Second, those watchmen or those labor these are to be required for the watching these fish farm, that is the trained laborers. For that purpose, watchman house, then office these are to be required for those workers these are to be working on this fish farm. For all point these are to be noted, all those measurement, those care should be taken, all these are to be done, all these are to be maintained in this office, that is office room. Record these are to be maintained, record these are to be kept. Then storeroom, those are essential these are to be used, those are not essential these are to be kept apart from these. That's why that is storeroom these are to be used to excess quantity. Then freeze room, when fishes these are to be marketed, when fishes these are to be landed, at that time there is a freeze room these are to be done, all these construction. Then water tank which is to be most important for the fish farm culture. The most important is the overhead water tank which is to be useful, which is to be important, that is excess quantity of water which is to be easily available, and that water head tank, overhead tank these are to be done inside this pond management. With this help of this water tank we can supply, we can fill these different ponds whenever which is to be required, whenever it is to be maintained. That is pathological laboratory condition these are to be seen, that is whether water is to be healthy, some pathogens these are to be not seen, pH of water these are to be maintained, temperature of water these are to be maintained, pathological conditions of water, these are to be maintained. All these are to be done, all these are to be should, which is to be occur inside this pond management, and which is to be done in these all research laboratories or the watchman houses, office, storeroom, which is to be important, which is to be useful, which is to be done with the help of the expert engineer. Those are the engineer which is to be used, those are the engineer which is to be, we can take ideas for their construction, for the these construction of the fish pond. For the from these engineers we have such different engineering condition, these are to be maintained, these are to be seen. Then all these are the, that is the pond management, from hatching ponds, nursery pond, rearing pond, then stocking ponds, then varieties of the these extra construction building, these are to be constructed inside these area of the pond, that is research laboratories, watchman houses, office, storeroom, fridge room, overhead water tank, all these construction, these are to be constructed. Then that pond, these are to be fully filled with good quality of water, and as well as the good quality and quantity of water, these are to be filled. Then after the filling of this water, the next point of this fish culture is, that is the fish seed stocking. What is the stocking of the fish seed, or the stocking density? Stocking rate or the stocking of fish seed. Fish seed stocking means these pond, these are to be constructed, these are to be created, but after the construction, fulfillment of all these pond, stocking, these are to be essential. And for the major carp culture, to stock these fish seed, we can choose whether fingerling, these are to be stocked, we can choose whether advanced fingerling, these are to be stocked, whether juvenile, these are to be choose for the stocking, which seed these are to be used. Generally uniform fish seed, these are to be select, these are to be choose for the stocking, and the care should be taken that those seed, these are to be stocked in these pond, that should, these are to be live, that should fish should, these are to be a advanced and well conditioned fish seed, these are to be done. It is to be disinfected with 2% copper surface solution or the potassium permanganate solution, or it is to be deep infected these fingerlings into the 200 ppm of formalin solution, 200 ppm of formalin, or it is to be deep treatment into the potassium permanganate 2% KMnO4 solution or the copper sulfate solution. These fish seed, these are to be deep treatment for up to 5 to 10 minutes. These are to be dipped inside these solution, and then these seed, these are to be stocked inside this stocking pond. Stocking density, these are to be depending upon size, depending upon the area of the pond and depth of the pond. Those pond which is to be select, these pond, these are to be either square, these pond should be either square, these are to be either circular, or it is to be either rectangular. Means the pond which is to be, we have choose, we have select, design, shape, size, depending upon which are these shape, size. First is the square shaped, second is the circular shaped, and third is the rectangular type of pond. Means we can choose square shaped, we can choose circular shaped, or we can choose the rectangular type of pond. Among these, any one type, these are to be select. When we have choose the square shaped pond, among these square shaped pond, the fish seed stocking, these are to be done, and prior to fish seed stocking, the seed, these are to be checked whether it is to be healthy, it is to be active, and that seed, these are to be healthy, active, and swimming freely. Such seed, these are to be healthy, such seed, these are to be good for the stocking purpose. Suppose seed, these are to be affected due to the pathogens, parasite, then these seed, these are to be deep treatment to 200 ppm of formalin or the 2% of, that is the KMnO4 solution. These fishes, these are to be infected, these are to be deep, and then these are to be transfer, these are to be stocking into the stocking ponds. depending upon the fish seed committee which is to be developed by Government of India. The formula these are to be select, formula these are to be choose for the carrying capacity of pond. What is the carrying capacity of pond? These are to be done. Depending upon this carrying capacity of pond, the seed stocking density these are to be select, these are to be choose. What is the stocking density of seed or the what is the carrying capacity of pond? That is fish seed these are to be stock. For stocking, the formula these are to be noted. Total expected increase in weight, total expected increase in weight divided by expected increase of weight of individual fish, expected increase in weight of individual fish into mortality. This mortality is to be less than 10%. Mortality is to be less than 10%. Means the formula these are to be select, these are to be choose. What is the formula for the stocking density of fish seed in different ponds? That is total expected increase in weight of fish divided by expected increase in weight of individual fish. That is we have choose Katla, we have choose Labio rohita, or we have choose the Sirana mrigal. For these individual fish, how much fish these are to be increase its weight, it is to be determined, and this is to be multiplied by mortality, and the mortality is to be how much? Less than 10%. Suppose this mortality these are to be increase more than 10%, then this fish farm these are to be in loss condition, or it is to be in regression condition, it is to be heavy loss these are to be occur. For that purpose, those fish seed these are to be stock in the these nursery pond, rearing pond, or the stocking pond. Mortality is to be must be less than 10%. Mortality means fish seed these are to be stocking, that fish seed these are to be not mortile, it is to be healthy, active, and which is to be live seed, which is to be less than 10% mortality which is to be occur, which is to be found. Such seed these are to be stock, such seed these are to be stocking in the these stocking ponds. In generally for the major carp culture, 1000 to 2000 fry, 1000 to 2000 fry per hectare area, or the specially per meter square area, it is to be done how much? That is 1000 to 2000 fry per square meter in culture ponds, that may be nursery pond, that may be stocking pond, or that may be specially for the stocking ponds. This seed these are to be stored, these are to be stocked into how much quantity? Stocking density of fish seed is to be 1000 to 2000 fry per square meter area. The seed these are to be stocked, and this is the stocking density of the these fish seed, that is major carp seed these are to be stocked into the these stocking ponds. That is stocking density these are to be done, stocking density these are to be performed with the help of these way. Then next point of this stocking or the major carp culture, that is the polyculture or the mixed culture. Polyculture is also called as mixed culture, or it is also called as composite fish culture. Name itself indicate that polyculture, poly means more than two species these are to be culture at a time. In culture medium it is called as polyculture or mixed culture. When more than 2 species, these are to be cultured simultaneously in a single pond, in a single culture site, it is to be called as the mixed culture or the composite fish culture. Again, more than 2 species, these are to be cultured in a culture site, in a culture medium, that may be pond culture, that may be cage culture, or that may be raceway culture, then it is to be called as the composite fish culture. That is major carp, these are to be cultured with polyculture, these are to be cultured with mixed culture, or these are to be cultured with the composite fish culture, because these 3 species, that is first Katla, then labio or rohita, and the Sirana mrigala. These 3 species, these are to be most suitable, these are to be most suited for the polyculture, for the mixed culture or the composite fish culture, because these species, these are to be do not compete to each other for living conditions, these are to do not compete to each other for food and feeding, and these species, these are to be attain a marketable size, attain a target size within a short period. That's why these 3 species, these are to be select, these are to be choose for the polyculture or the composite fish culture, because these are to be growing in different areas, in different water bodies. These species, these are to be obtain the maximum crop, rich crop production, these are to be done within 1 or 2 years from these 3 species, Katla, labio, rohita and Sirana mrigal. That's why these 3 species, these are to be do not compete to each other for food and feeding. Then for shelter, these are to be again do not compete, because Katla, these are to be surface feeder, labio, these are the column feeder, and Sirana mrigal, these are the bottom feeder. Means the food material, these are to be found in surface, that food these are to be taken by Katla. The food material, these are to be found in the column region, middle region, which is to be used by labio rohita, and the food which is to be found in the bottom region, that is to be used by the Sirana mrigal. Means for food and for shelter, these 3 species, these are to be do not compete to each other, but within short period, within 1 to 2 year, these are to be attain marketable size, and that's why fish culturists, these are to be used these species for the polyculture, for the composite fish culture. Several combinations of species, these are to be, not only these 3 species, these are to be cultured, but for the fish culturists, for traditional Indian major carp culture in India, extensive production, these are to be occur. Different species, these are to be stocking density, these are to be variable, these are to be done. The generally ratio of these species, these are to be select, these are to be choose. It is to be 3 is to, it is to be 30 is to 60 is to 10 ratio, these are to be select. 30 that is Katla, 60 that is labio, and 10 that is the Sirana mrigal. It is the suited, it is the good ratio, 30 into 60 into 10 ratio, these are to be select, these are to be choose for the culture of these Indian major carp. Sometimes this ratio, these are also change, that is 3 into 3 into 4, that is 3 per, that is 30% Katla, 30% labio, and 40% that is the Sirana mrigal. These are to be also used for the culture purpose. Not only these 3, Katla, labio and mrigal, but with these species, that is tilapia mozambica. Sometimes we can use, that is Clarius batrachus, these species, it is also used, it is also we can use to culture with these fishes, that is Katla, labio and Sirana mrigal. But these Clarius batrachus, these are the generally predatory, it is to be for culture purpose. First these fishes, these are to be stored, and after 1 month or 2 months, the seed of Clarius, these are to be stored in the these culture pond, these culture condition. That's why these 3 species, Katla, surface area, these are to be grow, food material, these are to be used, labio rohita, column region, they can take food and it is to be grow, and Sirana mrigal, it is the bottom feeder. the bottom food material these are to be chosen, these are to be select. That's why the bottom food material these are to be used by these dead and decaying food material by the Sirana mrigal. Hence these polyculture or the mixed culture or the composite fish culture these are to be done, these are to be performed with the help of these polyculture. We can culture these Indian major carps, we have culture these species or the foods which is to be done, which is to be performed by these culturists for these polyculture or for these way. In this way this is to be done, it is to be performed. Then next point, that is the culture of these major carp, these are to be done in polyculture, mixed culture or the composite fish culture. Then we have see that is the next point is the harvesting of the these culture major carps. Harvesting, again we all know that harvesting after the completion of the 1 year or 2 year, when market condition for the fish for that may be Katla, Libio, these are to be full of tight, the fish production these are to be less in that year. At that condition in market demand is to be more and supply is to be less. Demand and supply, that rule these are to be applied. When demand these are to be more, supply these are to be maximum, then prices these are to be increases, prices these are to be high. For such condition these fishes, these cultured major carp these are to be harvested. This harvesting is to be done, and day by day due to the use of modern techniques tools, use of these water bodies for the under the cultivation of major carp culture in India, fish production these are to be continuously increased. In present period the fish production these are to be increased up to near about 7.5 million tons. It is to be increased up to 7.5 million ton fish production these are to be increased in 2015, 16, 2017. In this year this fish production these are to be increased up to the how much, it is to be near about 7.5 million thousand tons fish production these are to be done, these are to be occur to the total all India production, total all India production. And that's why the share of inland fish production become almost half to the total production of the India's total, near about half production of this inland, means those inland fishes these are to be cultured from river, cultured from tank, cultured from ponds, or the cultured from the culturable areas. These inland fish production these are to be increased how much, it is to be half to the total all India production, total all India production, total development of aquaculture these are to be done in our country, in our India. Among these total production, half production of this inland production these are to be done, these are to be occur with the help of these various culturable condition, various culturable sites these are to be cultured in India. Particularly in major carp culture harvesting these are to be done, those seed these are to be keep stocking these are to be done inside the pond, stocking these are to be done inside the rivers, inside the lakes, inside the reservoirs, or inside the tributaries where these stocking these are to be done, that is harvesting these are to be should be done. For the harvesting those water bodies these are to be keep these fish seed for the growing purpose, for the culture purpose. Drainage these ponds, that may be lakes, rivers, or the that is those pond we have select, these pond these are to be drained, means that is drainable ponds, pond water should be removed with the help of outlet. And when these outlet waters should be removed, then with the help of various types of craft, various types of nets, especially nets use of cast net, then gill net, then drag net, various types of nets these are to be used, these are to be select for the capture of these major carps, especially the famous net, that is the cast net, gill net, drag net, rampani net, then trap net, dole nets, Rampani net, trap net, dole net, these are the famous nets or the purse seine. These various types of net, these are to be used, these are to be select for the culture of these major carps, which is to be cultured in ponds for extensively as well as for the intensive pond culture, and where in market there is a full of price, that is law and that is demand and supply. Demand and supply, demand and supply, when more demand these are to be occur, at that time supply these are to be less, then prices these are to be increase, prices these are to be increases, and when prices these are to be increases, it is to be helpful for the fish culture is to earn the maximum income, to earn the maximum earning, these are to be done with the help of this technique, these are to be applied, that is law of demand and supply. When in market there is a availability of fish, these are to be less low, at that time these fishes these are to be harvested. Harvesting is to be done with the help of the various types of nets, sometimes craft, these are also used in larger reservoirs, larger water bodies, where it is to be not done in simply with the help of nets, then we can use the that is a craft such as vodam, the craft such as catamaran, craft such as the satpati or the masula boat. These boats these are to be used, these are to be done with the help of these boats we are harvesting, these are to be harvested. And last point is the after the harvesting, that is the marketing. Marketing, it is the most important point, it is the art of business. Marketing is the most important, because without business, without art, this marketing these are to be not done by any fisher, by any fish farmer. For that purpose, in our living condition, for our in our living behavior, this marketing is the best method, it is the art to how we can market the fishes, how we can market those fishes, these are to be captured, those are to be done. For that purpose, in the marketing, that is buying and selling, buying and selling is to be done at a place, at a area where large number of fishes these are to be buy by wholesalers, large number of fishes these are to be by retailers, or the large small quantity of fish these are to be purchased by the consumers, that is buying and selling place, that buying and selling place is to be called as the marketing. And this marketing is the art business activity, and this marketing involved transfer of product, involved a consumer, it is not simply salesmanship or the advertising, but it is very a complex field of endeavor to study all conditions, whether in market demand is to be occur, whether supply these are to be done, all factors these are to be studied among the marketing, whether it is to be done in market, whether it is to be occur in market. With the help of this marketing strategies, with the help of study of these marketing factor, we have market these cultured major carps, and in these culture condition, in a major carp culture, that is those major carp which is to be cultured for the culture purpose, these major carp these are to be cultured up to near about, it is to be near about 7 to 8 ton, 7 to 8 ton major carps these are to be cultured, 7 to 8 tons per hectare area per year. The fish production these are to be done, these are to be found in our areas, that is 7 to 8 ton per hectare per year. Fish production these are to be done, fish production these are to be occur, and with this heavy fish production, fish farmers, fish culturists, they can earn maximum money and they can sustain their development. For that purpose, this major carp culture these are the best suited to increase the income as well as to minimize the scarcity of food, the problem of to solve the problem of food. For that purpose, this major carp culture it is important, it is to be done. With this first point, that is the culture of Indian major carp, which is to we have study, we have done here. Any problem, please ask anytime, anywhere. Yes, okay. ओके करा बंद करा ना. किती झालं बघा